My wife said, "Got married to a loser." I replied, "You don't. That prenup protects the loser." Then I, at 3 a.m., screenshotted the post, moved half the money into a new account she couldn't touch, left a note and the ring, and sent receipts to our parents before she showed up at my hotel. Welcome back to AF Tales. Today's story is about a husband who discovers his wife asking strangers how to bypass a prenup right after his startup sells. As you listen, think about what you would do when love shows up only after the money does. I was standing outside our apartment door with a bottle of Dom Perignon sweating in my hand. It left a damp circle in my palm. $300. More than our grocery budget used to be for an entire month. My heart was hammering, not from the stairs, but from what I was carrying. $5.2 million. After 3 years of coding in the dark, living on instant ramen and watching my hairline lose the fight, the deal was done. The money wasn't in my account yet, but the papers were signed. The acquisition was official. In 2 weeks, the wire would hit. I wasn't the broke developer anymore. I was finally the husband my wife, Elena, said she needed. I slid the key in the lock with a grin I couldn't control. I pictured her face when I told her. I pictured the hug, the proud look, the way she would finally stop talking to me like I was a problem she had to manage. I opened the door. "Elena, you home?" She was in the kitchen, scrubbing a pan like it had personally offended her. The scraping sound was sharp and steady. She didn't turn around. "You forgot the trash, Mark," she said. It wasn't even angry. It was tired. Resigned. The kind of tone you use when you don't expect anything to change. "It's garbage day tomorrow. Now the hallway is going to smell like rot because you were too busy zoning out on your little project." I took one step in, hiding the bottle behind my back like a kid with a surprise gift. "I'm sorry," I started. "You're always just something," she snapped, spinning around. Her eyes were dull, not sad, not furious. Just flat, like she had already decided what I was worth. "My dad called today," she said. "He asked if you found a real job yet. Do you know how humiliating it is to tell him you're still playing pretend with that app?" My smile faded. My hand tightened around the bottle. "He was right, Mark. He told me 3 years ago that ambition without execution is just delusion. I'm tired of waiting for you to grow up." That sentence hit like a handful of gravel to the face. This was our normal now. For the last year and a half, I was the dreamer, the anchor, the burden. She was the one holding it all together, the paralegal who kept the lights on and made sure we didn't drown. And here's the thing people don't say out loud. When someone talks to you like you're a constant disappointment, you start to shrink. You start to feel like you owe them your whole life just to take up space. "Elena," I said, calm on the outside, hollow on the inside. "I didn't take the trash out because I was at the lawyer's office." She rolled her eyes and turned back to the sink. "Great. What did you get sued for? Did you steal someone's code? Do we need to borrow money from my parents again? Because I swear to God, Mark." "We sold," I said. The scrubbing stopped. She froze with her hands in the soapy water. "What?" "The app. We sold the IP and the user base this morning." I walked to the kitchen island and set the bottle down. It landed with a heavy thud. $5.2 million. The money hits the account in 14 days. The silence after that felt thick, like the air changed shape. I watched her shoulders tense, then slowly loosen. When she turned around, the woman who had been calling me a delusion was gone. Her face transformed in real time. Her eyes got wide, wet, sparkling. "Baby," she whispered. My stomach turned at the word. She hadn't called me that in 2 years. $5 million, she asked. 5.2, I corrected. Then she screamed. The sound was the one I thought I wanted, but now it felt sharp, too bright, like a siren. She rushed over and threw her arms around my neck. She buried her face in my shoulder, and I felt tears soak my shirt. "I knew it," she sobbed. "I knew you could do it. I told everyone you were a genius. Oh my God, we made it. We actually made it." My arms stayed at my sides, because I remembered last week at her sister's birthday when I walked into the kitchen and heard her laughing with her cousin. "I feel like I adopted a teenager," she had said. "I'm thinking of giving him an ultimatum." So when she said, "I told everyone you were a genius," it didn't feel like love. It felt like a costume she put on when the stage lights turned on. This is a hard truth, but it matters. Some people don't love you, they love what you can provide. And you can hear the difference if you pay attention. I love you so much, she said, pulling back to kiss me. Her lips were warm, eager. We need to celebrate, we need to call my mom, we need to look at that house on Pine Street. I kissed her back because it was easier than explaining the cold not forming in my chest. Yeah, I said, we made it. But it didn't feel like we did. It felt like I had crossed a finish line and realized she was cheering for the prize, not the runner. 2 weeks later, the money landed. If I thought the switch on the first night was jarring, what came after was a full performance. Alina quit her job 3 days after the wire transfer cleared. She didn't ask me. She didn't talk it through. She came home at noon on a Tuesday and said she was retiring to manage our assets. She started planning vacations to the Maldives and Aspen. She talked about our portfolio like she had been doing it for years. She sent me links to a Range Rover and called it a reasonable upgrade. She posted a photo of us on Instagram, the first one in over a year. The caption said, "Patiently built an empire with my best friend. Trust the process. Power couple." Like she hadn't spent 18 months treating me like a bad roommate. I liked the post. I didn't say anything. I just watched her act. At night, I didn't sleep. The startup stress was gone, but a new anxiety moved in. The feeling that I was sleeping next to someone who was slowly unzipping my wallet. It was 3 in the morning on a Tuesday when I ended up in the living room, pacing. 3 steps to the window, 3 steps back. A habit I picked up during late-night coding sprints. Alina was asleep in the bedroom, probably dreaming about the car she wanted me to buy her that weekend. I sat on the couch and opened Reddit on my phone. I usually read startup threads. That night I found myself scrolling through marriage posts, searching for some kind of explanation for the empty feeling in my chest. I refreshed the new tab. A post popped up with 0 upvotes, posted 6 minutes ago. The title made my throat tighten. Trapped with a man-child who got lucky, how to bypass a prenup. I clicked it. Throwaway account, it began. I, 27F, am in a nightmare situation that everyone else thinks is a dream. I've been married to a total loser, 29M, for 3 years. 0 ambition. Depression naps, forgets basic chores, plays on his computer all day pretending to work. I carried us. I paid the rent. I dealt with the embarrassment when my family asked what he did. I stopped breathing for a second. Depression naps. That's what she called it. When I worked 20-hour days and crashed from exhaustion for a day, she called it a nap. Then I read the next part and the room went colder. I was actually planning to leave him next month, she wrote. There's a VP at my firm, let's call him Jay, who I've been getting close with. Jay is everything my husband isn't. Assertive, successful, masculine. We haven't slept together yet, but the emotional connection is there. And Jay told me to leave the dead weight. The VP. She had talked about her boss, Jason, before. She called him a mentor. She called him a great influence. She never called him an emotional connection. My jaw tightened so hard it hurt. Then I hit the line that made my hands go numb. But here's the kicker. The idiot's little computer project actually worked. He sold his company 2 weeks ago for $5.2 million. 5.2, not 5, not a few. The exact number. My world narrowed to the glowing screen in my hand. Now he's walking around like he's Elon Musk and I have to play the doting wife, she wrote. I can't leave now, right? I put in the time. I suffered through the broke years. I deserve half of that payout for emotional damages alone. Then she got to the part that made me laugh, a short dry bark that sounded wrong in the quiet apartment. 3 years ago, when we got married, I forced him to sign a prenup, she wrote. I was making $60K and he was making 0. I didn't want to be liable for his startup debt if he crashed and burned. I didn't read the fine print about future assets because, honestly, I thought 100% of nothing would always be nothing. She ended with the question that told me exactly who she was. Is there any way to avoid this? Can I claim duress? Can I say he had assets? I need a strategy before I file. I want the cash and I want out. At the bottom, she added one more insult, like she couldn't help herself. I can't stay with this boring, pacing at 3 a.m. weirdo for the rest of my life just for the lifestyle. I looked down at my feet. I had stopped pacing to read her confession. That's what it was. A confession with a timestamp, her contempt, her plan, her greed, her affair, even if it was only emotional. She wasn't trapped with me. She was waiting for the payout, then shopping for the exit. This is one of those moments where your brain tries to protect you. It wants to say maybe it's not her, maybe it's fake, maybe you're overreacting, but patterns don't lie. And details like that don't come from nowhere. I didn't scream. I didn't storm into the bedroom. I felt calm, like something in me clicked into place. I took screenshots. The post. The comments. The part where she argued with strangers and called them jealous. Then I saved the page another way, because I knew she would delete it the moment she felt exposed. Then I opened my banking app and moved half the liquid money into a separate account she couldn't access. Not to punish her. To protect myself. Because when someone shows you they are planning to take from you, you don't wait for them to finish the job. After that, I opened a reply box under her post. My fingers moved without shaking. "You don't," I typed. "That prenup you didn't read protects the loser. Divorce papers on the kitchen counter." I hit post. Then I walked to the kitchen and grabbed a legal pad and a marker. It was 3:30 in the morning. I didn't have official divorce papers yet. But I could leave a clear statement, a clear boundary, and a clear warning. I wrote, "I saw the post. I know about Jason. I know about the plan to void the prenup. You were right about one thing. The prenup is ironclad. It protects everything I made. You get what you came in with. I'm gone. Do not contact me." I left the note next to the now warm bottle of champagne. The bottle felt like a symbol of everything that had gone flat. I packed fast. Laptop, drives, passport, a week of clothes. I left the expensive watch she bought me with my own credit card. I left my wedding ring on the nightstand. It's strange how light you feel when you stop trying to hold up a life that was already collapsing. Before I walked out, I did one more thing. I created a group chat. Alina's mom, Alina's dad, my mom, my dad. I attached the screenshots. The main post where she called me a useless loser and admitted to the emotional affair. The comment where she admitted the prenup was her idea to avoid my debt. The part where she asked if she could lie about duress to get the money. Then I typed one sentence. "Alina isn't who you think she is. She was planning to leave me for her boss until the money hit my account. I'm done." I hit send. Delivered. I called an Uber and walked out of the building without looking up at our window. My phone started buzzing 10 minutes into the ride. Then it wouldn't stop. Reddit notifications. The throwaway account deleted a comment, deleted the post, deleted the account. Then the calls started. Alina. Alina. Alina's mom. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and leaned back while the city lights blurred past. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't feel the weight of needing to prove myself to anyone. I spent the next morning in a hotel robe, drinking coffee that cost too much, answering emails from a real lawyer. By 11, my attorney had a divorce petition drafted. He also had a restraining order ready if she escalated. She escalated. At 11:30, there was a commotion in the hotel lobby. I was in the restaurant picking at a croissant when I saw her. Alina looked frantic, hair in a messy bun, sweatpants, red-rimmed eyes. She spotted me and rushed over like she owned the place. "Mark," she said, loud enough that heads turned. I didn't stand. I didn't offer her a seat. "You can't just leave," she hissed, slamming her hands on the table. "You can't drop a bomb in the family chat and disappear. My dad is having chest pains. Do you have any idea what you've done?" I took a sip of coffee. "I think I was clear," I said. "I returned you." "Stop saying that," she said, sliding into the booth across from me without asking. Her eyes darted around, checking who was watching. "That post wasn't real." "It was very specific for something not real," I said. 5.2. The pacing at 3 a.m. The VP named Jason. She flinched at the name. "It was creative writing," she said fast. "People do it for karma. I was venting because you've been so distant." I stared at her for a moment. Here's another truth. When someone gets caught, they don't confess first. They test your patience. They see how much you'll accept. Elena, I said, voice flat. Stop. Her face softened like she was pulling a different mask from the closet. I love you, she whispered. I stood by you when you had nothing. I paid the rent when you were broke. Doesn't that count? I laughed, the same dry laugh from the night before. You didn't sacrifice, I said. You invested. And you're angry because you think you deserve a return. That is not true, she cried, tears appearing right on time. We can start over, she said. We can go to therapy. You can't throw away a marriage over a Reddit post. I leaned forward. I'm not throwing it away over a post, I said. The post was the receipt, that's all. I pulled up the screenshot of her comment about the prenup and slid it across the table. Read it again, I said. Her eyes scanned the words. Her face went pale. You built your own cage, I said softly. You wanted to protect your credit score from my failure. Congratulations. You succeeded. My failure can't touch you, and neither can my success. Her tears stopped. Her mouth tightened. The cruel look I knew came back. You think you're so smart, she spat. I'll get a lawyer. I'll sue you. I'll tell everyone you were abusive. Go ahead, I said, signaling the waiter for the check. The screenshots are already with your parents. They know what you wrote, and good luck cracking a prenup you demanded. I stood and dropped cash on the table. You're pathetic, she hissed. You're still a loser. Money doesn't change that. You're going to be alone. Maybe, I said, but I'd rather be alone than live with someone who checks the exit door every time I walk into the room. I walked away. I heard her voice rise, turning into a scene. Hotel security handled the rest. The divorce moved fast after that. With a prenup that spelled out what's mine is mine, there wasn't much to argue about. My lawyer told me she tried to hire 3 firms. They all dropped her once they saw the document and the screenshots. So Elena went after my parents. 2 weeks after the hotel, I took my mom and dad out to dinner. A nice steakhouse. White tablecloths. Dim lighting. The kind of place my dad used to say was for senators and mobsters. Halfway through appetizers, I felt the air shift. My mother's eyes widened past my shoulder. Oh, for Christ's sake, my dad muttered. I didn't turn around. I felt a hand touch my shoulder. Mark, Elena said, breathless, please, we need to talk. She looked smaller than I remembered. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a nervous, twitchy energy. She wore a dress I recognized, one she used to wear when she wanted to impress my parents. It was wrinkled now, like she grabbed it from the floor. Mom, Dad, she pleaded, ignoring me. Please tell him to stop this. I made a mistake. A stupid online mistake. But we're family. I've been your daughter-in-law for 3 years. You can't just let him throw me away like garbage. My mother, who apologized to telemarketers before hanging up, wiped her mouth slowly and set down her wine glass with a deliberate clink. Elena, she said, voice cold. I read what you wrote. I read that you called my son a useless burden. I read that you were waiting for him to fail so you could leave him for a VP. That was venting, Elena cried. I was stressed. I helped him build that app. I supported him. You didn't build a damn thing, my father said. You complained. Every visit you rolled your eyes when he spoke. You made him feel small. We saw it. We kept quiet because we thought he loved you. Elena reached for my arm. I pulled away. I looked at her and asked the question I wanted answered. Where's Jason? I said. She froze. What? Jason, I repeated. The real man, the VP, the one you were lining up. Why aren't you with him? Her face cracked. The fight drained out of her like air from a balloon. He didn't want a relationship, she whispered. He just wanted fun, I nodded, not surprised. So you tried to swing to the next branch, I said, and you missed. Now you're falling and you want me to catch you. I stood up. I'm not a net, Elena, I said. I'm the ground and you just hit it. I signaled the manager who was already hovering. Please escort her out, I said. She's harassing my family. As security guided her away, she looked back at me with a face that had no anger left, only panic and a terrible understanding. Mark, she whimpered, please. I turned my back and sat down. So, Mom, I said, steady, tell me more about the garden. 18 months later, I was in New York for a fintech summit. Life had sped up in ways I couldn't have predicted. I had started a small venture fund. I invested in other builders who reminded me of who I used to be. I traveled. I slept through the night. I was sitting in a lounge at the Mandarin Oriental, waiting for my girlfriend, Sarah. She was an architect I met 6 months earlier. Sharp mind, clear eyes. The kind of person who asked questions because she cared, not because she was keeping score. She didn't know how much money I had until our 5th date. When I finally told her, she shrugged and said, "That's nice. Can you pass the salt?" That's when I knew I was breathing different air now. I was checking emails when a shadow fell over my table. I looked up. It took me a second to recognize Alina. She looked older, not in a dramatic way, just worn. Like life had stopped opening doors for her and she ran out of tricks. She wore black slacks and a white shirt and held a tray of drinks. "Mark," she said quietly. "Hello, Alina," I said. My pulse didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I felt nothing. It was like seeing a classmate from school you barely remember. "I saw your name on the guest list," she stammered. "I work here now, event staff." "Okay," I said. She lingered, shifting her weight. "I heard you're doing well," she said. "I saw the article." "I am," I said. "I'm staying with my sister in Queens," she rushed on. "It's been hard. Legal fees. And nobody wanted to hire me after the. She was fishing, casting a line into a pond that dried up a long time ago. She wanted me to ask if she was okay. She wanted me to offer help. She wanted proof she still had a place in my world. "That sounds difficult," I said politely, the same tone I'd use with a stranger complaining about the weather. Her eyes flickered like that wasn't the answer she wanted. "Do you ever think about us?" she asked, voice dropping. "About what we had?" I looked at her. Really looked. I thought about the trash, the insults, the way her affection turned on like a light switch when money entered the room, the post, the plan, the way she called me a loser while I built the thing that changed everything. "No," I said. Her face fell. "Never, Alina," I added gently. "I don't think about you at all." Right then, Sarah walked up. She smiled when she saw me, bright and calm. She reached for my hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Ready to go?" she asked. "Ready," I said, standing. I looked at Alina one last time. "Excuse me," I said, gesturing for her to step aside. We walked past her without touching. I didn't look back to see if she was crying. It didn't matter. Alina wasn't my story anymore. She was just a lesson I paid for early so I could live better later. On the drive that night, I thought about how close I came to mistaking patience for loyalty. I thought about how easy it is to stay in a marriage because you're hoping the other person will finally see you. And I thought about how clear life gets when someone tells the truth by accident. Here's what I learned. Lesson 1. If someone treats you like a burden when you're building, they don't get to call themselves a partner when you win. Lesson 2. Pay attention to how love shows up. Love that arrives only after money is not love, it's opportunity. Lesson 3. Protect yourself before you need to. A prenup, a separate account, clear boundaries, none of that is cruel. It's responsibility. Lesson 4. When someone confesses who they are, even by accident, believe them the first time. Lesson 5. Walking away is not revenge. Sometimes it's the first act of self-respect you've done in years. What would you have done if you found that post at 3 in the morning? Would you confront them, or would you move in silence like Mark did? And do you think sending the screenshots to both families was fair or too far? Share what you think.